How do you like that for dramatic finishes, eh? Ottawa REDBLACKS win 37-34 in dramatic fashion. Another walk-off field goal by Lewis Ward. We're 3-2. We are 3-2. Now, I'm going to get into the game. But first, I'm going to address the elephant, I guess in this case, the elk in the room. Or I guess I should say former elk in the room. Because this game was Chris Jones's final game as head coach and general manager of the Edmonton Elks. After this loss, he was relieved of his duties. He was fired by the organization. And when we face them next on Friday, so it's coming up, it's not going to be the exact same Elks team. It's the same Elks team, but at the same time, new head coach, new general manager. So that's going to be interesting. I think the biggest difference we might see is a chance to actually see Trey Ford play. And I don't like to celebrate somebody losing their job. Somebody getting fired sucks. And there's a real human element there. And everybody dogs on Chris Jones. And I do think, like, rightfully so. He was not a good head coach. At least not in his second tenure. Not at all. There's still a person who lost their job, and that sucks. And I feel for him. And I hope he lands on his feet. I hope he finds something else. Maybe not coaching in the Canadian Football League, but something. And just because you can't coach doesn't mean you can't do something else. As a REDBLACKS fan, Paul Lapalisse is with TSN. I wouldn't want him to coach another football team. Look at how that experiment went here in Ottawa. It did not go well. And I think it was really bad for both parties. But now he's found something else that he can do. He can stay involved with the league without the ire of the fans. Hopefully something similar can happen for Chris Jones. But nonetheless, when he was let go, there was a lot of celebrating online. And I can't blame anybody. I can't say that I wasn't a bit of part of it. Because upon his return to Edmonton, he went 8-33. 8 wins, 33 losses, and he started this season 0-5, which is, that's bad. And on the one hand, you could say, but all their games were so close. And on the other hand, I would say all their games were so close. I think that's, in a way, worse. As a REDBLACKS fan who's seen seasons go down the drain because when push came to shove, we just couldn't close out games. Yeah, it sucks. And I think this game is a perfect example. If you score a touchdown with 8 seconds left to tie the game, that should be enough. It should be, to at least force overtime. It wasn't. And they had to really fight to even get that tying touchdown. A penalty on 3rd and 11. And they were at the 1, and it took them their 3rd down attempt. They had an opportunity to drain the clock. They didn't take it. They could have just taken off all 8 seconds. That would have resolved the whole overtime issue. They didn't do that. The kick out of bounds, sure, that's bad. Objectively, that is a bad thing to do. We're not winning from our 50. We're not. We aren't even going to get a rouge from there. In order for us to win the game, we still needed at minimum another 20 yards to make it even feasible that we could potentially win the game. We got almost 30. We had one play to go from our 50 to their 30, and we did it. That's the thing. We did it. We actually moved the ball that much to the point that it went from, I don't know, maybe Ottawa has a chance to this game is over. It's done. Bad teams let that happen. Bad coaches let that happen. A good team has that penalty against them. It's backbreaking. Now our opponent has a chance to get into field goal range. Good team just doesn't let it happen. They make sure that won't happen. And conversely, good teams make it happen. Good teams say, we are just given this chance on a silver platter, a golden opportunity to take a game that was certainly going to overtime just a second ago and turn it into a regulation walk-off win. We do not get a walk-off field goal last season. We don't. We throw that ball into traffic, and if we're lucky, it only gets picked for, a short run, and they don't take it home to the house. This season, we make the catch deep in Edmonton territory, kick a field goal, win the game. It felt so, as a Red Blacks fan, I was writing my notes. I wrote a lot of notes, and there's 4 pages. I wrote a lot. A lot of those notes, I will admit, there's some negativity, especially towards their final drive, because I'm so used to this as an Ottawa fan. We're going to blow it. We had a 12-point lead. We're going to blow it. They had a 12-point lead, too, and they did blow it. But that feeling that when it came time to close the game out, we just couldn't. Again, that's Ottawa sports for you. And then in our last-ditch attempt, it works. It's worked twice now. Thrice if you include it wasn't quite a goal line stop, but it was 3rd and goal against Winnipeg. And we got the stop that we needed to get, and then stop them on the Hail Mary attempt too. That's way better than choking. But again, teams of years past, Winnipeg scores a touchdown. We are not able to move the ball against Hamilton. We maybe get a good run, and then the ball goes nowhere, and on 3rd down, the game ends. Or in this game, for example, Edmonton scores that touchdown, we go nowhere and lose in overtime. That's the team that the Ottawa REDBLACKS are. That's the team that I'm used to them being. And it's starting to feel like maybe that's not who they are. It's still early. Last season we were 3-3 before the season exploded. So I'm still not ready to start celebrating quite yet. When will I start celebrating? One of 2 times. If we are 8-4, I'm celebrating. I don't care about other records. That's it. That's a good season. We can celebrate. 8-4 is good. Even if we lose every game for the rest of the season, we did well. We got 8 wins. We significantly improved, and if we don't miss the playoffs, it's just because the league decided to drink stupid juice that year. I'll celebrate if we are 500 and we've beaten the Tiger Cats twice when we face them a second time. If we win the season series against the Tiger Cats and we're at about 500, I'd celebrate there. If we go if this is the start of a 5-game winning streak, I'd celebrate. I'm going to temper my expectations. But it's hard not to be excited. It's hard not to say that, wow, this is the type of game we're used to losing. Oh, well, Ottawa's only beaten teams with bad records. Well, teams with bad records lose to teams with good records. And 3-2, that is a good record. That's a winning record. We're tied with Toronto. We're tied with the Toronto Argonauts in terms of wins and losses. We have a shot at not just making the playoffs, but hosting a playoff game. We are closer to the top of the league than we are to the bottom of the league. We are closer to the Montreal Alouettes and the BC Lions than we are to the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Edmonton Elks. We are closer to being a home playoff team than we are to being a team that misses the playoffs. It's early in the season, but these are the positive signs that I've been saying we have been dying to see. Just look at the stats. I'm going to read some stats for you. First downs was pretty close, 23-26. It's not nearly as important as total yards. They had 358. It's not bad. It's pretty good. 536. 480 through the air. Dru Brown had 480 passing yards. That is the 4th greatest performance in the history of the Ottawa REDBLACKS. We're talking Henry Burris Trevor Harris levels of good. I saw some people in like the Reddit thread, I go on the Reddit game day thread, saying that Dru Brown, oh, he isn't good, he is so far and away the best quarterback we have had since Harris. It's not even close, and it's not even funny. And our record reflects that. Our record reflects, hey, this guy can play. This guy knows ball. Nobody else comes close. 480 yards. And he made 2, maybe 3 plays that I would say are bad. I would say total 2. He made 2 plays where I'm like, I don't know if I'd call them like objectively like bad. The first was the fumble. Gave Edmonton some momentum, but I don't know if I can entirely blame him. I think it was more miscommunication, which we do need to fix. I will get into issues that need to get fixed later. We won. Let's be happy. Let's celebrate. I saw so much negativity after this game. Like, we nearly blew it. We won. We won. Well, let's be happy. We're 3-2. Doesn't matter. They don't ask how. They ask how many. 3 wins. That's how, it doesn't matter how you get them. We could get blown out for all of our losses and win squeakers for all of our wins. It just matters what do we have more of. Montreal could blow us out every game this season, and then we see them in the playoffs, and we could win based off of a walk-off rouge. It won't matter. That's the whole nature of sports. We have 3 wins. I'm being happy. I'm going to stay on the positivity, and Dru Brown gives me positive vibes. He even got the Ottawa REDBLACKS Classic injury for the season last week, and he's fine. He came back. He played. He started. He played the whole game. When he got hit and was out for the game last week, I was so devastated. I thought that was our season up in smoke, because I cannot tell you how many times I saw our starting QB go down with injury and just everything collapse. Just be like, oh, our season is over. It happened to us twice last year. Twice we had a really good quarterback go down with injury. When Dru Brown went down, I was getting all those memories flooding back in, like, oh no, concussions can be bad. Concussions can take you out for weeks on end if they're bad enough. This is a head. This is your head. You got to be careful. What does he do? Comes back the next game, throws 480 yards passing. So I don't want anybody saying that Dru Brown is not a good QB, especially compared to what we've had in Ottawa. Is he the greatest quarterback in the league? Nah, probably not. Is he the greatest quarterback in Ottawa REDBLACKS history? I don't think so. But is he already top 3 despite only playing 5 games? Legitimately, yes. Legitimately, yeah. He's the 3rd best quarterback that's ever played for the Ottawa REDBLACKS. The other 2 went to the Grey Cup. One of them won. I guess really both of them. But, like, it's different. And welcome to the Kalil Pimpleton show. The Kalil the Thrill. I'm too excited. It's different. A rookie 70-yard touchdown. He just turned on the Jets and made the Elks look like they were in quicksand. He was just gone. Oh, okay. How are you gonna one-up that in your first ever CFL game? Oh, we're just going to get the game-winning catch. I know it was a walk-off field goal, but that field goal does not happen if it's not for that amazing catch by Pimpleton to get us in Edmonton territory. And as an American rookie, to have the awareness to go down with 2 seconds left to give himself up. And when he caught that, like, the game was over. Like, Lewis Ward was not missing that. And even if he was not missing it going out of the end zone. Like, you knew worst case scenario, Lewis Ward somehow misses this. It bounces out the back of the end zone. Game over. REDBLACKS still win, baby. But no, he said, I'm Lewis Ward. Do you know who I am? 5 for 5 on the night. Plus, welcome to the Dominique Rhymes show. Dominique Rhymes, so many people have been dogging him, saying, where's Rhymes? Where's Rhymes? Where's his big performance? Here's his big performance. I'm going to read you a number. 153. I'm going to read you another number. 131. I'm going to read you a third number. 110. Do you know what those are? Those are how many passing yards Kalil Pimpleton, Dominique Rhymes, and Justin Hardy had this game. 3 over 100 yards. 3. Quite frankly, all of them should have had a touchdown. Dominique Rhymes didn't get one, but he did get a 2-point convert that ultimately was really meaningful and affected the game. Oh, what about Armstead? Armstead had 31 yards passing, not to mention another 40 yards rushing for 71 yards of total offense. Plus, Ackland went for 40 yards on 4 receptions, 6 targets. That's decent. Like, it is weird to have a decent offense, to have a good offense, dare I say. This game was won by our offense, not by our defense. My biggest qualms this game were on defense. 3rd down, roughing the passer, or roughing the kicker. 3rd down, pass interference. Those 2 plays are, and that's the other thing I want to say. This game easily could have been a blowout for us. Those 2 penalties are the reasons why Edmonton had 2 touchdown drives get extended. If those 3rd down penalties don't happen, the drive ends and we win by like, I think one of them they got 14 plus they got a point on the kickoff. So, or they got 7 plus a point on the kickoff. So really that's another 15 points you can erase. That's 15 points we gave up because of third down penalties. And I'm going to be honest, there were a few times where PI should have been called on them that didn't get called. There were multiple times where it looked like Edmonton pretty clearly fumbled, where like they received the ball. Do I have a football around here, a fake football? Oh, I've got so much sports memorabilia. I don't have it on me. But pretend this is a football. They received the football, and then they made a few steps, not one step, multiple steps, and then they dropped it. Now, in the football world that I am from, and I don't know where this Canadian Football League refs are from, but from where I am from, we call that a fumble. It means that you received the ball, you completed the catch, but then before you went down, you dropped the ball. This ball is now live, and anyone on either team can pick it up. It is not an incomplete pass. Just because you took a few steps very quickly does not negate the fact that this is a fumble. So if you receive the ball and go, well, you still made multiple steps, even though it was in like the span of a second or two, that's still a fumble. And there were times where I was like, why isn't Bob, like that was a fumble, Bob Dice should challenge this. But I'm glad he didn't for 2 reasons. One, the whistle did go before we picked up the ball, so I'm sure at worst it would have been ruled a fumble, but the play was ruled dead because the whistle went, so incomplete pass, or something that would have still not really given us the ball, even though, again, it should have. The same with the times there were PI on us. I think Bob Dice is starting to realize that the command center really doesn't like Ottawa, like at all. Like you could make the most blatant pass interference and a good chance it still won't get called. He was smart today. He saved his challenge. End of the first half. Let me paint the picture for you. We started really good drive. We only got 3 points. We could have gotten a touchdown. We got really deep, but we settled for the 3. Okay. Edmonton, after our fumble, they drive down. They get the 7, and then they drive down again. We weren't stalling out. We were still getting drives, but it just wasn't enough. We weren't able to get in scoring range, and then Edmonton makes it 14, plus they get a point on the kickoff. So 15-3. We drive down, we kick a field goal, 15-6. And this is where I also have to say, this is what I mean about Dru Brown. Once he gets started, he doesn't stop. That field goal, it was like, okay, we could do something. And then they fumbled. We recovered. And this was a blatant fumble. And we started driving. And from this point on, in the game, Dru Brown just said, I'm going to be unstoppable and score a whole bunch of points. And there's really nothing you can do about it except sit and watch. And he did that. And the drive looked like it was, we were second and goal. And it looked like it was about to stall out. Well, throw to Ackland. Incomplete. Very late in the second. And Bob Dice challenges. Or late in the first. Late in the second quarter. Late in the second. I was right. Bob Dice challenges. Saved his challenge till the end of the half in case he needed it. And it works out in his favor. They actually call it PI. I know, a command center call going in our favor. And more than that, overturning a call in our favor, which was questionable. I'll take it, though. And this leads to Dustin Crum. And I know I was harsh on Dustin Crum last video. One thing I'm going to say. If you want a yard in the Canadian Football League, if you want a guaranteed yard, Dustin Crum QB sneak. It's a free yard. It's a free yard. If we line up at the 1 yard line and you see Dustin Crum go up on the field, just tell your defense that they should try not to get injured because they aren't going to stop him. And they don't stop him. And we score a touchdown. And instead of going into the second half down by 12, we go down by 2. We get 10 points in a very short period. And I think that was really a big momentum-changing moment. And then, of course, Kalil, oh my goodness. Kalil, the Thrill Pimpleton with a 70-yard touchdown. Then we get Justin Hardy with, I think it was 66. Let's see his long, a 68-yard touchdown. Which, maybe it was at the 1 yard line. Crum would have gotten it. Not to mention Dominique Rhymes, who, like I say, his lawn was 68 or 66 yards. So 68 for Justin Hardy. Dominique Rhymes, it wasn't a touchdown, but he got a 66-yard pass. It didn't lead to a touchdown, but it got very, very close. This is, I think, one of the negatives. We got to 3rd and 2, and we didn't go for it because we got to their 5. We ran, didn't really get anything. Ran again, got maybe 2-3 yards. So we said, we'll kick it. For what? I think we should have put in Crum. I think at the 2, Crum can get those 2 yards. I get that we ran basically the same play twice. Shocker, it didn't go anywhere. And it was at the end of the game where they knew that we'd be running. I would have liked a pass, but at the same time, I get you don't want to pass. You want to burn clock, but at least try a different run, try something different. It would have been, again, that's an opportunity for us to have put the game away early, and we didn't do it. But this comes with time. These are growing pains. I'll take the win over the loss. I'll take that decision ultimately not really mattering because we still won the game. Then, yeah, okay, that decision cost us the game. It didn't. So we're not gonna talk about it. We'll talk about, coaching decisions later. But that drive, those drives, I should say, at the end of the first half, and using that challenge when we did, was huge in changing the momentum of the game. And we used our other challenge when we were called for PI at the end of the game, 3rd and 11. It was PI. As a biased Red Blacks fan, that was PI. But don't let that challenge burn a hole in your pocket. I think Bob Dice has realized this is the CFL. They get the call wrong sometimes. And if they get the call around here, game's over. And if they don't, like, if the call is right, then they're at our 1 yard line. Like, I'm not going to use there's less than a minute. I'm either going to use my challenge here and the command center is going to get it wrong and we win the game, or I use my challenge here, the command center gets it right, and, well, who really cares? Same situation. Like, I'm not going to need my challenge again. And ultimately he didn't. And I think that shows maturity on Bob Dice's part. That he's challenging at the right times. And it's working out in our favor. One of them worked out in our favor. The other one didn't, but it could have. It could have been a bad, oh yeah, we're overturning this, there's no PI. Because I've been to games. I'm a season ticket holder. I can't tell you how many times PI was called against the other team. And I'm like, well, yeah, because they blatantly interfered. And then it gets challenged. And I'm like, well, there's nothing to challenge. He very clearly interfered with us before the ball was even close. So this is pass interference. And then it somehow got overturned. And I'm like, I don't know how you don't see the clear PI. In fact, you did see it. You put a flag. You said this is pretty obvious. Flag, penalty, and now it's gone. So I like that. I like that he's seeing these things. We're making progress. And I think we are a much better team than last year. Dru Brown, like I said, when he needed to pick it up, he did. And his other bad plays, I'm just going to quickly get to it. I know my video's going long, so I'll wrap it up. We were, I think, second in goal. And he ran like pretty far back and got sacked. But I'm not that mad because pretty far back was still at the 20. And you know what? Second and goal, he basically knew either we score a touchdown here or we kick a field goal. And Lewis Ward, the ball's on their 30 instead of their like 5. Like, who cares? Like, it's Ward. He's going to hit it. So you might as well try to do as much as you can to extend the play to see if you can find someone in the end zone. And if not, just don't do anything stupid. And then there was one time where he did something kind of stupid. He threw the ball. There was no one really available, and it got easily picked in deep in our territory. And this is the one where our defense was really good, forced them to go for a field goal, and they missed. Lots of positives. Is there room for improvement? Sure. I'm not going to complain about a win. I'm an Ottawa fan. I'm not spoiled enough to be complaining about wins yet. And we face Edmonton again. New coach for Edmonton. Friday night. We don't have that long between games. Neither do they. And we have an opportunity, a huge opportunity to create separation. Hamilton plays Toronto. If Hamilton and Edmonton are 0-6, and we have 4 wins, and we've got, I think, one of Winnipeg and Calgary is still probably going to be at 2 games. That's a good start to the season. So let's hope for that. And let's hope that we can finally get to above 500 in the month of August. We can clinch that tomorrow. We can do that. We have 2 games left in July. So if we win one of those 2 games, at worst, we would be 4-3 in August to start at least. And as always, go. Ottawa, go.